Today we'll be looking at stores and inventory. So we already introduced as to what a store is, and what is an inventory. It means a detailed account of what is available. So if suppose you are running your household, you're going to see whether you're going to have enough material for the month. Okay, so sometimes if you buy, say, something like dal, tur dal, and keep it for 3 months, end of that you'll find it all powdery. So you will find that, so when you're planning your purchase, you'll only purchase what is required for that period. So you will have to think of this principle which is being applied in every place, and in your house, for instance, and it will be the same even in a project. So in a store, you will only keep what is the material which is required. Why is it that we should only keep what is the material that is required? For instance, if suppose you are going to buy all the coarse aggregate which is required for the entire project, and if you are going to require, say, about 5,000 cubic meter of coarse aggregate for that project, and you will have some restriction on the height to which you can stack material. So you can imagine the amount of land which you will have to get, okay, for storing the material. Then also remember, in our accounting procedure we saw that there was an item called rent. So if you are going to take, you are staying in the hostel, suppose you are saying, no, I want 5 rooms in the hostel. So what happens to the cost? During the 4 years which you are in VAT, your rent becomes 4 times more. Your rent becomes 4 times more. And in a site, construction site, if it's a larger area, you may have to make fencing for a larger area. You'll have to post that many more security guards. And when lot of material is there, when small quantities are getting robbed, you will not be able to keep track. Same thing applies to certain materials like cement in our case. If suppose you buy all the cement you require for a period of, say, 2 years, what happens? Beside all your rent, stores, etc., the cement has a limited shelf life. That means it can be stored only for a certain period of time before it starts to lose its desirable properties. Same thing with reinforcement steel. How much steel can you store? One, steel is a very heavy material to move about. Second thing is you will find that you are starting to have problems of the steel rusting. So your owner might reject it because it is not matching the requirements. So it's very important that only the material that is required be kept. So material should not be so much more that you cannot sustain, and it cannot be so little that you cannot do your day-to-day operation. For instance, if suppose you take the petrol stocks, so usually what you do, you may not have more than 2 or 3 days of petrol stock in place. What is the logic? If suppose 2 days there is a sudden strike, okay, then the strike might last for 2 days. That is your assumption. So you will only fuel to that much requirement. So that is also, I mean, like, that is one more example which I can give you as an for this keeping material which is required only. Basically, one of the things which is done for store is a VED analysis. A VED analysis. So VED is vital, essential, and desirable. What is this vital? So without that you cannot do any operation. So for instance, your diesel stock. Just imagine if suppose diesel is not there in the construction site, what would happen? Your bulldozer is not going to work, your generators are not going to function, and almost the entire thing is going to come to a standstill. Entire mechanism, construction mechanism might come to a standstill. Another very vital thing is water. Okay, construction water is a very vital thing. So many of the operations like curing and all those things are depending on water. So vital means you, and same thing goes with cement and whatever. So on a given date, how much of cement is required? That should be definitely available in store. That should be definitely available in store. Essential means if it is there, it is going to make the without the essential thing also the project might come to a standstill. But those are items which you can put by about 1 or 2 days this side, that side. and still you will find that you are not having a very big breakdown in your project. And desirable means if it is there, you are going to have some better quality of work. For example, if suppose you are going to have a vibrator that can shake the entire column instead of a needle vibrator, probably the column concreting quality is going to be better. So if you are going to have vibrators that do that vibrate the entire shuttering, your finish might be better, but it is too costly and probably it is not required. Probably it's not required. So this is the way basically items in a store are maintained. Store can also, store need not be only materials. Store can also be resources. Store can also be resources. So what are the things which you are going to have in store depends upon the type of project and what are the other parameters, like if suppose you're going to try to do it very quickly, then more materials are going to get consumed at a given point of time. So we have to look at that aspect when you look at stores. The other item is inventory. So inventory is nothing but a list of items which are available in store. Okay, in a short while I'll be talking about something called ERP. So what is ERP? Usually, it's an enterprise resource portal. So whatever is the resources which you have, all that is taken care by the ERP software, including manpower. So one of the most popular ERP tools is SAP. Okay, you heard of SAP, I hope. SAP, not that ETAB SAP. Okay, this is what you will usually see in all the advertisements. SAP. All the companies are very keen on knowing how much stock they are having at any given point of time, and SAP is a very good tool for that. And again, we are going to look into this. We saw this in some of the first few lectures. Inventory should always be minimum. Why should inventory be minimum? It should be just as a threshold. For instance, in Japan and all these places, car manufacturers have the tires come just at the time when they require it. That is when the complete car is getting finished, at that time only the required tires are going to enter the site or the factory. So till then the tires are not being stored at all in the factory. So if we cannot achieve that sort of just in time, where when you require the concrete to be poured, the truck is coming in and pouring, that sort of thing, I'm not sure whether it will be possible in India in the near future, but still you will try to keep your inventory minimum, because if you are taking too much of inventory, you are paying a lot of money for it. Usually it means that resource is becoming idle. When you have an idle resource, you may be paying interest for it. That resource could have been used in some other place and then that could have been built. Okay, this includes your dead storage of material like aggregates, cement, reinforcement, everything. So the store should always ensure that the amount of material at hand at a given point of time is a minimum. So this is a typical procurement which is being done by contractors. In the industry, this is the way things are being done. Okay, procurement is normally centralized. What is the benefit of having a centralized procurement? Any input? What is the benefit of a centralized procurement?
One item cannot be bought 2 times.
One item cannot be bought 2 times. Good. Other thing is, see, if you go to your stores here itself, like your supermarket and retail stores, 1 kilogram packet will be much more costlier than a 20 kilo bag of the same product. So when you're buying in mass, okay, you can try to get discounts. When you're buying in mass, you can get discounts. So when you're having a centralized store, the centralized store gets, for instance, we have a centralized store in VIT near the souvenir shop. So instead of buying SMBS bundles of copier paper, for instance, you are buying it for the entire college, you get a very good discount. Okay, instead of buying laptop for all the faculty in SMBS only, you buy for all the staff members. What happens? Instead of buying 10, you may be buying say 200 or 300. So you can get a very good discount. And again, your OLS BB. See, each student buying that same volume at that quality, it's going to be very expensive. But when all the 16,000 or however many are there who are benefiting from OLS BB are using, what happens? Because of the huge volume you're getting a discount. So this is what happens when you're having a centralized system. Procurement are always against site indents. What does this mean? The site has to say, I want this material of this quality at this time. So this should be told well in advance. So then only the centralized procurement is going to get it. Then purchases through ERP. Okay, in the past 2 companies where I worked, it was always through the ERP only that everything worked. For instance, even booking a tender was through the ERP. Okay, booking items for a tender was also inside the ERP system. So what happens is everything is becoming traceable. Everything is becoming traceable, right from what a person thought he wanted, what he actually wanted, and what he actually did is recorded from end to end. Okay, so whatever actions we do will get recorded end to end. So that is one very good thing. And what is this approved vendor? If you are looking at CPWD's website and some other agencies, there will be a process to become an authorized vendor. There is a process to become an authorized vendor. So there will be pre-qualification. You should show a track history of giving good stuff. You should also give a track history of providing the stuff in time. So all these things will be because of your credentials. So for instance, in our forthcoming CAT exam, we told that we are going to refer to one particular tender. So if you go through that site, there is a page where a vendor can register himself. Only if you register yourself, you will be eligible for bidding. Only then you are becoming a vendor for the company. So you will have to become a approved vendor in that ERP system, proving your past track records. Proving your past track records. Any doubt? Okay. So is there any problem in what, I mean, like, am I clear? Right, thank you. So then there is a requisition is mandatory for the purchase department. Only if there is a requisition, purchase requisition, usually they call it as a PR form, purchase requisition form. Only if the PR is there, they will allow that purchase to be done. So sometimes, okay, sometimes it will be very annoying. For instance, yesterday I wanted to get a gift wrapper with VAT. So what I was supposed to do, I was go to purchase office, get it signed. Then I'll have to go to finance office, get their attestation, and after I get all of this, I'll have to go to the centralized store, and there they'll release it. Then I don't know whether there's one more step after that. So instead of that, I got it done the easy way. I just had them put some gift wrapper, finished it. So this is one of the things which probably might come as a problem when you're going through the PR system, where everything is having a procedure. You'll have to run 2 or 3 times. Alternatively, what you can do, you can plan well in advance, 1 week in advance. I know I want the VAT gift wrapper, and then I can do it. So so this is maybe like what we can say as the benefit as well as the drawback in a centralized procurement system. Then there are internal checks and balances. There are internal checks and balances to prevent misuse. Okay, so if suppose you are going to, if I am going to favor one vendor because of certain, maybe he's my relative, or maybe there is some other association, like something is, I am benefiting indirectly from my association with them. So that sort of thing should not be there. So to prevent that, there will be a set of checks and balances. So of course, in a contract, even that can be what shall I say, circumvented. But at least on paper, it's a good system where if suppose you are buying a lot of paper, they'll make it as a open tender. So for example, we need 1,000 bags of cement. You can look at most of the tenders, it will be something like that. Supply of cement for such and such project. So then what happens is there is a competitive bidding process. Many vendors come together and try to give the product at a cheaper rate. Okay, so this sort of checks and balances are built into the ERP. So another thing could be, for instance, if suppose the amount is small, okay, say 5,000 rupees. 5,000 rupees is nothing in a construction site. So they'll say 5,000, the site engineer can approve. So that could go against a suspense account, and then he'll have to make up the claim. So like that, for each designation they'll have different amounts of discretionary powers. So that will be put in the ERP system itself. Again, for instance, like I was telling about the tendering which we are doing. So if suppose I am entering some values, this will go to my boss. So it will go to his workflow, just like how your leave workflow is there, no? If you apply a leave, it goes to the faculty advisors login. So in the same way, the ERP system will ensure it goes to the correct person, and only then the approval is deemed to have got. Okay. So these are some of the things which are internal to the ERP system. And then what happens is, normally when it comes to the store, there's always a delivery challan. I am sure you have heard of that, right? Most of the courier companies also ask you to sign a delivery challan. So that sort of thing will happen even for a very big supply of material. Okay. So and the moment the thing comes, okay, the material is entering into the store, they'll have it entered into the DMRR, okay, or the daily material receipt register, and the ERP is also immediately updated. Normally the payment will also be through the ERP. So the ERP will have a look at whether all the criteria has been done, and payment will also be automatically done by the system to the vendor. Like nowadays bank transfers are all there, no? NEFT, and this was the thing in the Indian company in which I was working, that was happening. They'll just make all the checks, yes, click the button, payment is dispersed. No more check writing, no more draft, no mistakes. So this is what happens when free issue is there. The contractor will say, I want this free issue item on such and such date. The contractor will also agree to that schedule. He'll say, you have to tell me when you have to give. And the contractor gives the same details. And after the receipt, the material is received, the contractor will have a check of the material, whether it is satisfying all the criteria. And if suppose there is a shortage or there is some damaged material, all of them are put into a non-conformance report. So that means it is a free issue item. If suppose something goes wrong, it is not the contractor, the main contractor's fault. It is because that material, the person who supplied him the material gave him a wrong material. So all of these are done. And finally, one of the most important thing in stores is material reconciliation. What is material reconciliation? Material that comes in, okay, should be equal to the material that goes out. Okay. So from here it has to go to some other point. So whether it is going like that. Otherwise, what does it mean if there is no reconciliation? If there is no reconciliation, some pilferage has taken place. Okay. Just imagine you are conducting like something in AC or something, a student event. So what do? You will always reconcile your amounts, or you are organizing a student tour. So everybody pays say 600 rupees. So 20 people are going, and so these are the expenses. So your expenses minus your, the amount which has come into your credit, and the amount which has gone out should be tallying with the amount at hand. Okay. So this sort of thing is what is done for materials also. So stores management is a rather difficult thing in the sense that you have to have up-to-date records. Up-to-date records of what? Of what is the material which is inside. Okay. In some cases, some international tenders explicitly prevent the use of conflict minerals. What is meant by conflict minerals? This is these are minerals which are got because of human trade. Okay, that is, they'll make people slaves, make them work at a very cheap rate, and then sell that mineral. So what internationally they have agreed is, unless the material can be traced to a proper source, okay, you have to have the trace from the place where it was ore till the time it is becoming into the pure metal. So then in the store, you'll have to ensure that you are having the correct kind of material also. This is just an added point of information which I thought I'll tell you. But in any case, the principal idea is the store should maintain records of what is the material which it is having. Okay. So for instance, if you go to some of the supermarkets, you will see items for sale at 50% rate for immediate consumption. So all the Coke bottles or whatever, they have to be consumed very quickly. So they are willing to sell it at a 50% discount also, so that it is taken out of their shop by the use by date. Okay. So then you will have to properly stock your materials. Stacking, storage and preservation is to be taken care of. So stocking, for example, how do you store your reinforcement? You'll have to ensure that it is not in touch with the ground and there's no chance of it getting into rainwater, etc. Same thing applies to cement. You have to store it on pallets. So how many cement bags can be stored? What is the space around which you have to provide? What is the space for airing which should be done? So all this has to be looked at by the stores. And what is FIFO? I forgot to put the abbreviation. First in, first out. Yes, very good. Then I don't have to worry about that. So first in, first out has to be maintained. Okay. So cement bag which came 3 months ago should be the first to go out. Then all materials should be identifiable. All materials should be traceable. You should be able to identify one from the other. Okay. For instance, if you are having two kinds of admixtures, they are not, all the admixtures are not the same. So they should ensure that it is properly maintained. And again, very important thing like lubricant. So many kinds of lubricant and hydraulic oils are there. So the correct kind of lubricant and the correct kind of hydraulic oil should be used for a particular thing. So they should be able to identify it correctly, and they should also trace, like this amount of material has gone for this work. So that's why this much has been reduced from our inventory. Then test or batch certificates to be checked and maintained. For instance, steel should have a test certificate for every so many tons of steel would be specified in the contract. So whether that receipt is, that test report is there, they should make sure. Then only that what they have got into their warehouses or their stockyard is correct. Then material receipt note to be maintained for all items. Delivery note and challan should be given for all items. And then no item can go out without a gate pass. And usually you will find this in most of the plants. When you go out or come in, they'll check the boot, every place before they let a car come in or go out. Okay, the reason is some material should not be taken out. And another very important thing, shelf life should be maintained for all the products. Okay, shelf life should be maintained for all the products. So with this, I'll just conclude today's lecture. It was about stores. What are the general principles which are used in the stores? You should be like, you should make sure that you are having the minimum inventory, and then you should see what is required more, so that VED analysis should be done. Okay. So for instance, okay, I'm not giving any more examples. I hope you are clear with that VED analysis. And then we had a look as to what are the general principles which are done in procurement. Okay, so stores is the one which gets stuff in, and they have to take a lot of care for preventing loss. Okay, so loss can be through people simply carrying a bag of cement or two or something bigger also. Okay, so they should ensure that things are properly stacked, properly stored, and they should also ensure that the shelf life of the items are not lost. Okay, now if there's any other question, I'll be very happy to answer them on this topic.